The following is me, Sarah Neela Elkins, reading Book of CoL, The Ember Child, chapters 9 and 10, live on Friday, April 19th, 2024. Chapter 9. There was another incident today. Someone stole from one of the other test subjects. Initially, Harbinger thought she had misplaced her tablet. She told me she looked over her house 1,000,000 times and couldn't find any sign of it. The CoLs had the weekend off, and she has remained in and around her house for the duration until the tablet went missing. This is, perhaps, the 20th time Book has helped someone solve a mystery like this. When they arrived, they brought their own notes and journals detailing their powers, so I knew from day one of the study that Book had an interest in answers. Personally, I wonder what branch of law enforcement they'll enter when they leave this place. I'm not the only one in the laboratory who wonders. CoL Case Study 0001, Notes of Dr. Rose Hailu, December 12, 2029. "Can you hear me?" Eugene asks. "Loud and clear," I say as I walk up to the line for stick shifters. It's not a terribly long line, which makes sense. Austin and the surrounding areas do have a pretty high population of CoLs, a little over 20,000 total, but not all of us are the nightclub sort, myself included. I checked my phone in the car. This is the only CoL exclusive club in the city, and one of 3 in the entire state of Texas. The idea of clubs that deny access to people without powers hasn't been free of controversy. "Good. Don't react or respond to me when I talk. We don't want them knowing you're wired," he says. I take your silence as acknowledging that, by the way. Go in, find the guy, try to get him to talk about what he's done. Maybe you can get a clue about where the kid is. Aaron's bound to have accomplices. He's certainly not the brains of the operation. I move up with the line. A few people waiting have modified their bodies to look like humanoid animals. It's good to know furries never go out of style. I know some online who hang out in CoL-oriented forums wishing for the day they become Embers. Generally, they're kind folks who are always willing to help out those in need. A couple people ahead of me get turned away and leave while arguing loudly about their new IDs being useless. They look mostly normal, but their brightly colored hair is noticeably dyed and their ears stiff and plastic. It's not the sort of plastic look a Class A can achieve, one that still moves with them. "Is there a problem?" Eugene asks. I don't reply. "Good, see, that was a test," he says. I try not to laugh as I reach the front of the line. The bouncer is huge, muscular, and has pointed ears and horns. He could be Eterna's older brother. He glares down at me and hooks a clawed thumb behind him. "Leave," he growls. "I have my ID," I say, reaching for my pocket. "No basics," he says. "IDs can be faked." "Okay," I reply. I make sure the earpiece stays in place as I quickly shift my face and teeth to mimic a tiger. The orange, black, and white striped fur blends horribly with my sea green hair. I snap my teeth at his face with a roar and then say, "This better?" The bouncer nods and grabs the velvet rope. "Much." I nod and change my face back to being oh so very punchable as I pass him and enter stick shifters. I thought Thunderskull's party was loud and annoying, but this nightclub puts it to shame. I had underestimated the number of CoLs in the area that would frequent a place like this. The place is packed and loud. Plus, it smells like a mix of alcohol, vomit, and any number of mistakes. I think about removing my currently small nose entirely. The loud guttural chanting and the bass-heavy music isn't speaking English, but I understand it completely. It's a poem in Old Norse about how Odin sacrificed himself to learn language, followed by the singer chanting the Futhark runes, or Futhark letters. Basically, the most metal dance mix of the ABC song you can imagine. I took the time to learn some of the old poems about the Norse gods after I gained my powers. While Children of Loki is a popular name for us, and some folks even worship old Viking gods, it's not the case everywhere. In other regions of the world, people have identified more with other shape-shifting gods and goddesses. I have no clue if they're even the cause of our powers or not. Maybe one day we'll figure it out. Sounds like you made it in, Eugene remarks in my ear. Even if I were to try to respond to him, I doubt he'd be able to hear me over the din of music in this place. I've never seen this many coals in one place. The waitstaff at Stick Shifters are coals, and a few ask me if they can get me anything, to which I decline each time. "What are you doing? Buy something or you'll look suspicious," Eugene says into my ear. I'm surprised he could hear me turning down drinks. I weave through people to reach one of the better lit bars that's spread around the club. This one is a dark counter built along the top of a giant warped and stretched human skeleton. The stools are topped with faux human skin with legs in the shape of femurs. Here is this illustration of the bar. And punchable Page. I crack up every time I see Page's face. Oh no, I gave him too small a face. A bartender spots me and slides over. Fuzzy silver cat ears, matching their long glistening hair, twitch at the sides of their otherwise human-looking head. Their outfit is a simple black button-up shirt with buttons in the shape of skeletal hands. I really hope the different areas of this club don't have some sort of weird meaning, I think to myself. "What'll you have?" they ask. "What do you recommend?" I counter. The bartender smirks. "Going home?" they say with a laugh. "But, gotta pay the bills and I'm feeling lazy." "We have some nice craft beers on tap. You look like you could appreciate a good draft." Gods, I want to punch myself. I nod. "Dealer's choice." The bartender smiles and takes a few steps away to fetch my drink. "She's right," Eugene comments. 15 for this, the bartender says as they set a frothy faux horn mug in front of me. I get some cash out and pay before taking the cup. I drink a sip and use my powers to prevent myself from showing any distaste. "What's this one called?" I ask. "Ymir's Spine," the bartender replies. "Good, no?" "Fantastic," I say with the worst shit-eating grin I can muster. "Thanks." I take another swig and shuffle away from the skeletal bar. As I move, I shift a few things in my head near the earpiece so I can talk to Eugene. "Gods damn, I hate beer," I hiss into the earpiece, hoping I didn't make the secondary mouth I just formed too large. It sounds like my current vocal cords, at least. "I told you not to talk," Eugene protests. "Relax. This is temporary and no one can hear. Don't ask how I'm doing it. You don't want to know," I say. I just had to tell someone this shit tastes like dry piss. Eugene laughs on the other end of the line, then surprises me by asking, "What's that place look like inside, anyway?" "Stylistically all over the place," I say. 4 separate bars with different themes on the outside edges, placed around some tables, booths, and a central dance floor. I was just at an H.R. Giger-looking bar, but now I'm walking up to a neon pink cartoon pony monstrosity. "Oh, I'm glad I didn't look it up online," he replies. "I'm glad you didn't either," I say. "I really should have done more research myself. This place is hideous." "Keep an eye out for anything that might have been in the background of Aaron's photos," Eugene says. Which I'm sure you were already doing. "Yeah," I say. "Pretty sure he's over in a booth near the dimly lit corner farthest from me. I think it's an ocean-themed area." "Well, that sounds like the place." Part 2. I sip my terrible beer and meander as if I'm just looking for a friend and not someone who tried to kill me earlier today. A few people glance at me and get out of my way, and I realize I'm scowling more than a little. I relax my face enough to look neutral before plastering on a fake look of buzzed amusement. I'm approaching the next bar, a more traditional-looking setup that's lit with neon blue and pink lights and geometric patterns, when Eugene pipes up again. "I think you should keep talking to me," he says. "Tell me what you spot, or tell me when you spot the guy at least." I haven't reverted the inside of my right ear back, so I reply using my secondary mouth. "I can do that." I sip my beer. I'm passing another bar and getting closer to the fish one. Haven't spotted Aaron yet. This place is packed. Pretty sure the only reason I can move around at all is I've been glaring thanks to this terrible drink. Eugene laughs. "It's that bad?" "I really have never liked beer," I say. "Tastes like spoiled bread to me." "Did it always?" The question makes me stop in my tracks. "Did it?" "I don't know," I say. "I can't go back in time and check." There's some laughter directly ahead of me. It's loud enough to hear over the music. I follow the sound to see a booth, not far from the next bar area, filled with the coals from Aaron's social media posts. At the center of them is Martin Aaron, still shifted to be a giant lobster man, laughing and spilling his drink after trying to pick up a glass with a claw. "Found him," I say into the earpiece. "Gonna get closer." "Roger," Eugene says. "Be careful." "Are you kidding?" I ask with a chuckle. One of the tables adjacent to the booth Aaron and his buddies are in clears of people, and I take up residence at it, setting my terrible beer down. It's half full. I've had more of it than I thought, and decide to preemptively clear out any alcohol from my system using my powers. I need to be sober for this, even if it means I'll have to pee sooner than I'd like. I can circumvent that with my powers too, if I must, but it bothers me to cancel out so many biological processes. I am supposed to still be human, after all. "What are you seeing?" Eugene asks. "Dudes with the same 3 from the CoL space photos, plus 2 more, one of which is the only femme-presenting person at the booth. Doesn't look like that one wants to be here," I reply. "What are they talking about?" "Too loud to tell," I say. "If I mess with my ears too much, the music will fuck them up," I add. Sorry if that was TMI. "It's fine," Eugene says through clenched teeth. "Can you get closer?" I redouble my mental note not to mention how I am able to speak to Eugene without anyone noticing. Frankly, it would probably upset most CoLs to know as well. "I'll try in a minute," I say. "Just got a table. Might seem weird if I move now." "Roger," he says. "Hey buddy, watch it!" someone shouts. An extra tall blonde pushes through the crowd and heads straight for the booth. They're very masculine and even have a beard that's perfectly trimmed. Their white suit stands out among the other nightclub goers. I glance at Aaron's booth just in time to see the blood drain out of his crusty face. He puts his claws up and they revert to hands as he shakes. "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa," he says. "Let's be cool." "Something's going on," I tell Eugene. "Someone's just shown up and Aaron is terrified of the guy." "Get closer," Eugene says. I pick up my drink and move toward the booth. "Martin," the bearded man says, "I do believe we had an agreement, no?" Martin Aaron changes back to basic completely. He gestures for his companions to leave as he gets up from his seat. "Can we not do this here?" he asks. "Is this guy a problem?" one of Aaron's friends, who had been in his social media posts and has fish fins on their head instead of hair, asks while stepping closer to the bearded one. "No, he's fine. He's a friend," Aaron assures the fish person. "Don't worry about it, Kevin." I'm near enough to the booth now that I actually bump into one of Aaron's companions. I try to brush it off as being drunk, which the person seems to buy. The person in the white suit extends a hand to Aaron, with a smile that does not reach their eyes. "Martin, we had an agreement," they say again, "and you haven't held up your end." I did, he says. I did everything I was supposed to. You caused some noise today, the bearded guy says. The wrong kind of noise. Oh, please, Aaron replies, leaning against the outside of the booth. Like that was the wrong kind. Do you even know what happened? I sip my terrible beer and act like I'm looking at the dance floor behind the man in the suit. There are a lot of CoLs of various classes dancing. A few take breathers by reverting to basic briefly before resuming their shifts. They're probably Class C. It can be harder for them to maintain a shift for extended periods of time and impossible for them to make changes that are inorganic. The people taking breathers in the club are humanoid, not the folks with metal skin or 7.5 feet of height. Whoever this bearded guy is, Martin Aaron is terrified of them. I pegged Aaron as being a Class A, but could I be wrong? Or could this mystery person be something worse? Martin, my friend, the bearded person says again as they try to put a hand around Aaron's shoulder. Their index finger transforms into a long, thin knife as they move. Martin Aaron shifts his neck to become steel just in time to prevent the blade from removing his head. The man in the suit is pushed backwards into the crowded dance floor as Aaron's entire right side transforms into a gigantic, writhing mass of octopus tentacles. Shit, I say with both of my mouths at the same time. What's going on? Eugene asks. Aaron's friends rush forward as he withdraws his tentacles. His clothing has been shredded. I guess he didn't bother getting anything shift ready. Not much can keep up with a change like that, at least nothing that's affordable. I get closer to Aaron just before he spots me. I brace myself for his attack by strengthening my body, but he's wrapped by a long snake-like thing made of white scales and bone plates. It lifts him up, slamming him into the neon lights and rafters. People have long since started screaming and running for the exits. I follow the flesh cord to its source as it continues battering Aaron around. It's connected to several others that have his friends in similar situations. A fourth one slams into my guts hard. I was still prepared for Aaron's hit, but this is more forceful. I twist, shift my hoodie to strengthen it, and sharpen the edges into blades that cut the flesh of the thing hitting me. I cut it clean in half just before crashing into the mirror behind the skeletal bar. I shake my head as I get up and realize I reflexively moved all of my belongings, my phone and wallet, into my own body to protect them from damage. I decide to keep them in a little armored flesh pocket. Oh my gods, the bartender breathes as they stare at me. They're shaking. Are you okay? Fine, I say. The earpiece I had is gone, so I don't bother trying to fill Eugene in, and instead shift the insides of my right ear back to normal. Can you make it to an exit? I ask. The bartender shakes their head. I don't think so. I'll try to make a path, I say, and then hop over the bar. People nearly knock me over as they try to flee. I'm more than a little worried about crush injuries and death from this, but also very distracted by the bearded guy in the suit whose arms have become giant snakes, only a few of which have heads. Anytime someone catches snakebeard's eye, they send a new flesh cord out to attack. I do something I'm not proud of and become invisible as I race at the guy. Running through a mob of terrified people can be difficult, but it's impossible when they can't see you. I jump up and grab onto one of the still mostly functional ceiling joists and swing back down toward the source of the snakes just as they begin to withdraw the serpent limbs, dragging the bodies of Aaron and his companions through the crowd. I hit Snakebeard a little off. I hit Snakebeard a little off center in the shoulder and feel the full impact as if I was basic and had just jumped down one story onto concrete. My legs hurt as I roll into the crowd. The guy hasn't moved. Snakebeard only turns their head and hisses, "Heathens." Seriously? I didn't want to accidentally kill anyone from overstrengthening my body while running through the crowd. Thunderskull's arm comes to mind, but this guy makes me think of what it may have been like to be on the receiving end of my strengthening trick. I patch up my legs and double up my toughness again as people bump against me and run. The person in the white suit seems to notice the gap people keep hitting and stares directly at me. "You will be judged," they hiss. A giant octopus tentacle wraps around Snakebeard's head and wrenches them off their feet before throwing them up into the damaged rafters where they had been trashing Aaron and his friends. I make myself visible again and head toward Aaron, just as the building shudders like it was hit by a bomb. More glass, wood, and stone rain down from where Aaron threw the man in the suit. I shift my clothing up and over to protect as many people as I can, catching as much of the debris as I can in an upside-down umbrella sort of scoop. I set the rubble down next to one of the garish bars. It's soon apparent that it's not just a hole that's been punched in the building, as the smell of smoke rises and the building creaks and screams along with the crowd. Aaron is at my feet, barely breathing, unlike his friends who are broken and still. Like his friends, his face and body are a battered, bloody pulp. He looks up at me with one remaining eye that can't blink because the lid has been torn off. "You," he says. I know I still have a punchable face. I haven't changed that. "Sorry about the house," he says. "No hard feelings." "Where's the kid?" I ask as the building groans again. People are stuck at the exits. I don't know if the doors are jammed or if it's just the panic that has them bottlenecked. I need to do something. This place is no longer stable. "I thought it would be worth it," he wheezes. "Even dying like this, but you pagan scum are all right." I don't have time to wonder what the fuck that means, or how Aaron recognized me, because the building is about to collapse in on us. I'll survive. I know that. But it's very fucking unlikely anyone else in here is a Class S. I do the only thing I can think of to keep things from falling in completely. I shift. Big time. I release my body, mixing flesh, bone, steel, whatever I can think of, extending myself to fill the space closest to the walls and ceiling where the damaged supports have fallen away. I hold some of the ceiling beams in place while I ease others down to the floor as gently as possible. Bonus illustration of Page getting bloopy. I keep my clothing from being taxed too severely to prevent it from getting destroyed like Aaron's by stretching it enough to not wind up looking like some kind of giant flesh spider emerging from a suspended human body. It doesn't take me long to change, and the building is heavy, but once it's apparent someone's done some weird, horrific shit to keep it from collapsing, the terrified throngs of people calm a little. Not much. A few finally start screaming because they see what I've done, but most of them quiet down. Maybe they're just too terrified to make noise. I shift a few more eyes throughout my body that I can keep as hidden as possible to get a better idea of where everyone is. Then I shift a mouth and use my normal masculine voice to make an announcement. "I've got the building for now. I can hold it up as long as you need to evacuate. File out calmly. Take your time. Please help one another," I say. I know saying keep calm doesn't really work in a situation like this, but do your best. "He's right," the bartender from the skeleton bar says. "Thanks," I say to them. It takes a little under 30 minutes for everyone to get out. The bartender with the cat ears stays around, doing their best to direct people to the exits, and even helps one person with a busted leg hobble through the front exit, which has had the doors ripped out of the frame. I can always spot them in the crowd thanks to their glossy silver hair. "How are you doing?" the bartender asks after coming back into the building. "Just peachy," I say. "Police and fire are here. They're going to clear the building," they say. "I'll stay so they know you're here, and will you be able to keep this up while they remove the bodies?" "Sure." I suppose I really should be more upset by the dead people beneath me. I'm not sure why I'm not. Maybe it's because I'm over 100 tons of flesh, steel, and raw power supporting the remnants of the building right now. I should tell Dr. Hailu about this. It may be important. The bartender nods. Her ears twitch. I'm Neoni, by the way. She and her. Paige, I say before thinking I should have used a fake name. He, she, they, whatever, really. I'd say you're very whatever right now. Hilarious, I reply dryly. The firefighters and EMTs enter, following Neoni's directions to the 4 dead bodies directly below me. She assures them that I didn't kill anyone. I tried to save them. That I protected her when the man in the white suit attacked. The rescue team discusses what to do. I let them know that it seems there doesn't seem to be a fire, though I had smelled smoke earlier. After some time, a few police officers enter. We can't ask this guy to keep this up forever, one of the EMTs tells one of the cops. Even CoLs have limits. The police officer gestures to a couple others. Take as many photos of the crime scene as you can, then get these bodies out of here. JP is on the way. He looks up at me, but he either doesn't know where to focus his gaze or is too disturbed by what I've done to ever settle on one spot. You good? Yeah, I say, and add truthfully, I could do this all night. Funny guy, the cop says. Once we have everyone out and give you the all clear, we'll have you drop the building. Try to keep it as contained as you can. I'd nod if I had a head right now. Got it, I say instead. I'm not sure how much time has passed since I got to stick shifters. I hope Eugene is doing okay. The Ember Child, Chapter 10. Drink a little water. I hope y'all are enjoying it so far. Okay. Chapter 10. We don't have enough room in the main buildings for the volunteers to sleep and live. What we do have is a large amount of land around the complex. We were lucky enough that several businesses that manufacture so-called tiny homes decided to donate a number of buildings. Unfortunately, they left them in the parking area for now. The announcements that we're doing the study started running earlier this week, so I wasn't expecting much of a response right away. I certainly was not planning on a potential test subject to show up this morning, a full month before we hoped to begin the study, but one did. I'm not sure how they made it here with a bag of clothing and a cardboard box of journals. They have no vehicle, and I would have noticed if one had driven up. They've offered to help with moving the tiny houses. I will see how that goes. Personal Journal of Dr. Rose Hailu, September 2nd, 2029. I made it into stick shifters at about 9:30, and I don't let the building fall until almost 2 in the morning. I shift my clothing back into a business-style suit with a long jacket as I return to my masculine form. I'm not sure why I don't decide to change to basic, but I don't. Maybe it's because I assume the cops will respond better to me if I'm male based on how they've been treating the nightclub patrons and staff. Neoni, the bartender, is still in the area recounting to the police what happened. I heard her explaining what she saw several times already. She had to work out less complicated ways to explain what I was doing because none of the cops at the scene are CoLs, and their CoL-related training seems to be rather minimal. I'd be surprised if any of them have read a single book about CoL powers. Neoni spots me as I emerge from the rubble. She squints and then tilts her head, her silver cat ears wiggling like she's listening for something. Several police officers see me and approach, weapons ready. I hold up my hands. They aim at my head, of course. Here is Paige. I was the one keeping the building up. Your boss, Captain Watkins, just gave me the green light to drop it, I say. He was using the megaphone a minute ago. Any weapons on you? One of the cops barks. I don't know how to answer that. I am basically a walking weapon. Do I count myself? What I can turn into? The horrible ways misusing my powers could go? At least I managed not to laugh at the question. He's the one who saved me, Leonie says loudly. I remember him from the bar. He just looked different then. But not like the horrible flesh beast I've been while holding the building up together, I add. I did, however, have a pretty punchable face at the bar. The look you gave me when you tried that stout, Leonie laughs, was absolutely priceless. You had to use your powers, right? Yeah, so you agree that beer was awful. She laughs, which does nothing to break the tension created by the 4 police officers still pointing their firearms at my face. Captain Watkins races around a fire truck and manages to convince the other cops to stand down. Something about wasting bullets and time. There's a marked change in his tone versus how he spoke to me inside the club. Less respect, more contempt. This may be due to the fact that I can no longer drop a building on him if he upsets me. I shrug it off and give my statements about who I am and what I was doing at Stick Shifters. They only ask me to tell my story twice to 2 different officers. I keep it the same both times. I'm a private investigator who was following a lead on a case. The man I was looking for was attacked by the guy in the white suit. At one point, I offered to show the cops my ID and get brushed off. That seems pretty fucking weird. A CoL could, presumably, look like anyone, which makes our IDs pretty important. Not to mention, using my powers to investigate something requires an additional license, which I have, that they are supposed to check for. I wonder if I should tell Dr. Hailu or someone else about this. It's apparent that these cops don't want to have to deal with CoLs at all. That's a bad sign, considering the relatively large population of us in Austin. I decide to just give them my name and address when they ask. At least they can find me at home if they need to. When they finally release me, it's a little after 4 in the morning, and I am exhausted. I text Eugene and ask if he's okay. I apologize for losing the earpiece and for being out of touch. I explain that I was a little held up because the building was going to collapse. I ask him to text back if he's okay, or call if he needs. I also try calling and it goes straight to voicemail. I don't leave a message. I really hope he's gone home to sleep or something. I open the rideshare app I signed up for before moving to Austin. I should look into getting a motorcycle or a car. Do you need a ride? Leonie asks from behind me as I walk down the sidewalk. I want to put as much space between me and the cops before they decide they do actually want to ask me more questions. Not really. I hold my phone up. I was going to get a lift. I can't believe your phone survived that, she says in awe. I've had some practice. Doing that? She catches up to my side. Her ears have changed to look human, and her hair is now straight and black. I assume she's reverted to basic. She's very exhausted as well. Not exactly, I say. Forget it. I don't want to know. She shakes her head with a smile. Please, let me give you a ride home. I mean, you saved my life tonight. It's the least I can do. I stop walking and look over at her. Her work uniform is still covered in dust, dirt, and spilled drinks. She holds one arm close to her side at the elbow, and she's doing her best not to bite her lip. I'm sure she doesn't she doesn't want to be alone after what happened. Okay, you have a vehicle? Yeah, I parked in the garage a couple blocks away, thank God, Leonie explains. We still have a ways to walk. Can you make it? I ask. Me? She replies with a little shock. I'm fine, Never mind, this way. We reach Leonie's car in relative silence. I'm mostly following her on autopilot while my thoughts are on the identity of the person in the white suit. They were a powerful CoL for sure. At least a Class A at the upper limits of what someone in that class can do. Naomi stops at the driver's side door of her car and rests her elbows on the roof, watching me for a moment. It's a little blue sports car. "Where am I driving you?" she asks. I don't think and say, "Your place." She narrows her eyes at me. I put my hands up. "No, wait. I mean, I will ride with you there to make sure you're safe. And then I will go home. Nothing else." "I figured you didn't mean anything else," she says. "I'm just confused about how that constitutes me giving you a ride at all." "Right. I mean, I thought you wouldn't want to feel alone or..." "Shit," I say. "I'm sorry. I was thinking about something else." Naomi leans onto the car further and raises an eyebrow. With a sly smirk, she asks, "Which was?" "Who the fuck was that guy in the suit?" I say, waving my hands in the air. "Why would they attack like that?" She blinks rapidly and stands up away from the car. "How should I know? You seriously weren't thinking of anything else?" I have no idea what she means. "I'm also worried about the detective I'm working with," I say. "Couldn't reach him earlier. Maybe he went home." "Okay, let's try this again," Naomi says. "Where do you live so I can give you a ride home, Paige?" "Little Asgard Heights," I say. "Fuck," she says. "What?" "You're the new guy, aren't you?" Naomi shakes her head. "Get in the car. We live in the same building." I feel awkward bunched up in the passenger seat. I could revert to basic and take up less room, but instead I just slide the seat back a bit. The car isn't particularly big. It's some older model sporty thing that's close to the ground and lets your spine feel every divot and pothole you come across thanks to the tight suspension. "I can't stand the silence," Naomi says. "You seriously weren't trying to pick me up back there?" "What?" "I thought you were trying to..." "Never mind." "Oh, shit, no!" I sink in my seat as much as I can without shifting. "Gods, no. Sorry." "No need to apologize," she says. "I guess I just got my hopes up there." "Yeah, I'm ace," I say, "and not really looking for anyone romantically right now," I add. "Did you seriously break Thunderskull's arm Sunday night?" "Technically, he hit me and broke his own arm," I reply. I overestimated how hard he'd punch and didn't leave my body enough give. He's a Class A, right?" "For what that's worth," Naomi says as she changes lanes. It's early enough that some light traffic has started to develop, from morning commuters heading to and from work as the sky brightens with the rising sun. The class system is all fucked up. "How so?" I ask, sitting up a little. "Like me. What class do you think I am?" she asks. Your hair was real silver, wasn't it?" I reply. "If so, then you're an A." She looks over at me and points with one finger. "Right. There. Sure. Officially, I am a Class A, but I can't do any of that complicated giant shit. Most of what I can shift is on par with a Class C, if that. I can do, like, cat ears and stuff, maybe get a little taller if I'm lucky, but none of that wild-ass shit you did today." "What class do you think I am?" I ask, out of curiosity. "I don't know, an A at minimum," she says while keeping her eyes on traffic. Then her expression changes. "Shit." She turns to stare at me. "You're not, are you?" I try not to sink in my seat again. "No, I am not." "You're a fucking S," Naomi says in disbelief as we approach Little Asgard's Heights building. "Yeah," I reply weakly. She turns at one of the corners and takes us to the entrance of the underground parking garage in silence. I don't say anything else as she buzzes us in and finds a space. I hadn't checked out this area yet, so it's good to see. The security to get inside isn't very tight, which is something I'll keep in mind in the event we have problems in the future. Naomi cuts the car off after she parks. She keeps her hands on the steering wheel in silence for a few moments. I don't know if she's stunned by the revelation that I'm a Class S, or if she's processing that I wasn't trying to sleep with her, or if it's just the weight of the rest of the night's events hitting her. You gonna be okay? I ask. Leonie hangs her head. I don't have a job anymore. I don't know what to do. What do I do tomorrow? She looks up at me. I am notoriously bad about knowing what I should be doing, I reply. But for now, it might be good to get some rest, or at least try to. You've been through a hell of a lot tonight. She nods and then lets out a laugh. To think, Thunderskull tried to fight a Class S. That's probably the only thing that's accurate about the class rating system, honestly. Class S's are all fucking nuts. I wouldn't say we're all fucking nuts, I say defensively. But then I've only ever met one other Class S, and he decided to wander off into the woods to become a tree. I definitely need to tell Dr. Hailu about this, I think to myself. And then I have an idea. Hey, so it turns out I may have a suggestion, I say. How do you feel about helping to fix the rating system? What? I heard they're going to be doing another round of studies at the Institute for CoL Research in a few months, I explain. If you're interested, I could put you in touch with someone there. It pays pretty good, and you get room and board for the duration of the study. Leonie stares at me more intensely than before, and a wave of shocking realization washes over her face. Holy fucking shitballs, your book? Oh, fuck. You're the fucking book, aren't you, Paige? Book? I get it. What the absolute fuck? Leonie shouts. I really should have picked a name for Dr. Hailu to use instead of letting her choose. I curse myself while I cover my face with one hand. But yes, you caught me. That's me. I add with a wincing smile. Leonie shakes her head. Nope. She gets out of her car, still shaking her head. I also exit. Nope, she says again. I've had enough of this night. I'm going home. Thank you for saving my life. Good night. I stay in the parking garage a while as she heads to the elevator. I don't want to take the stairs and wind up outpacing her. I also don't want to share the elevator with her when she's as shaken. I don't need to know what floor she lives on from seeing where the elevator stops. After a couple minutes, I head for it myself. I've already freaked her out enough tonight. It's probably best we just avoid each other. Gods, I hope she doesn't tell anyone else who I am. That is the end of Chapter 10. If you have enjoyed listening to me read Chapters 9 and 10 of Book of CoL, The Ember Child, please feel free to like and subscribe here on YouTube. And you can read the novel in its entirety on Tapas. Thank you for tuning in.